Lynn is facilitator, so I will let her jump in and get started with leading discussion today.
Okay, I guess I can start. I'm Lynn Pender from Baltimore Green Justice Workers Cooperative in Baltimore, Maryland, and we coordinate certification trainings for older adults to help them jumpstart green careers.
You wanna, maybe we can popcorn,
I
send
can
it over to someone.
I'll popcorn it over to Carolyn.
Hi, sorry, they're currently doing landscaping outside of my apartment, and my asthma allergies are going nuts. So you will see me blowing my nose a whole lot. I'll keep my volume off for that. My name is Carolyn Burns, she, her. I'm the education and curriculum manager for the CLEAN Institute, which is a nonprofit focused on climate and education and advocacy here in the state of Florida. I'm in the Tallahassee office. Oh yeah, but and just so we know, I can drop an article later if anyone is interested. But allergy season is getting longer and more intense. Producing additional pollen is a survival tactic for trees that are stressed out by extreme weather patterns. So if anyone you know is complaining about how allergy season just seems to be getting worse every year, feel free to use that as an inroad to talk about climate change, because connecting those dots is really important to get people to understand. Cass, you want to go ahead?
Hey, yeah, thank you so much, Carolyn. My name is Cass Miller. I use she, her, hers pronouns. They is fine too. I am the education program coordinator with Our Climate, Our Future, another environmental nonprofit providing educator resources nationally. And we're also hitting some global targets too, and trying to just help educators around the world educate their young people on climate change. I'm going to pass it on to Youth Educational Services is what I see over here.
Hello, and thank you for inviting us to this meeting. Charmaine and Tiffany, we're from Youth Educational Services, where we support the community over here in Baltimore, Maryland. And what that looks like is all aspects. We're supporting youth, food security, and a part of it is us being assigned as a sustainability hub for the community. So that incorporates all the environmental, the health and wellness changes within the community. I guess I have to popcorn it over. Let me see. I let Tiffany may see the screen better. Maybe Miss Ann, if Miss Ann is available.
Yes, here I am. I'm on board, and my name is Ann Henderson, and I am the Director of Education at FAU Pine Jog Environmental Education Center. And yeah, that's let's see. Any announcements? We have we're doing our Climate Ready week this week. We have an education program for high school dual enrollment classes, and actually Rachel Wellman is usually on here, but she's leading it, so she's off campus doing that. And that's it.
I haven't gone yet, so I will introduce myself. I am Wendy Johnson, Science Education Specialist at the National Center for Science Education. We are in the middle of we are finishing with our revisions of our climate lessons, in the middle of sort of launching that for the new school year, and some professional development for teachers. If you know anyone in North Dakota, I hear we only have 10 signed up. There's a PD at the University of North Dakota next week that I'm leading. It'll be around climate change in your backyard, we call it. They're looking at their state climate summary and kind of how climate change affects their area. James, I don't think we've heard from you yet.
Great, thanks, Wendy. And by the way, the Mobile Climate Science Labs, that's me too, so we do that. Thanks, Wendy. I am from Mobile Climate Science Labs, and also among the schools that I work with, there's one that particularly is important that we link up with what Lynn and perhaps Youth Educational Services does. Bard School, Early College in Washington, D.C., which is in the community, which is a little bit different than what Bethia community is. It's a community of the education, the teachers that teach this in depth all year round. It's not separate or disparaging, but it's a little different than the vast majority of schools and networks like the CLEAN network, which get into maybe 20 hours a week. 20 hours a year is like the maximum that we expect teachers to do. They may just be teaching this year. Our school teaches climate change all year round. There are 2 courses now, each full semester, which means in depth, which means, well, one is that there's a great emphasis on making sure that the students are getting into career paths on climate action, many career paths. Wind energy can certainly be one that is. And then we bring in guests, especially guests who are professionals who can relate to our students and work with them and support them, okay? Bard School is in Southeast DC in the Congress Heights neighborhood. For anyone who doesn't know Congress Heights, it's the same demographics as our schools. It's about 92% African American and 7% Latina, 1% mixed. That is the demographics that is. And where we work with what we do in California, as well as DC, DMV area, which is hands-on labs that we bring to the community, that we bring to museums, that we're part of science festivals. We want, much of what we do is meant to inspire and have others do things and just prove this is possible. The fact that it's not happening has nothing to do with the people. It has everything to do with our society blocking this from happening. Most of our educators in climate change are African American, they're Black, and almost all are people of color. They work with the community, they come from the community, they inspire the community, they want to serve the community. That's something that goes on. So we want people to know Bard School is looking to connect with folks and be an example of that. Let's see, Melissa, I don't think you've gotten a chance to speak.
Hi, everyone. My name is Melissa Rummel, and I'm an education designer at the UCAR Center for Science Education. I'm in my office in Boulder, Colorado right now, but work from home a lot too. We design a lot of Earth system science focused resources for students and teachers and the public. So we have a lot of like classroom lessons and activities, videos, images, full curriculums, demos, things like that anyone can use. And we have a lot of content articles too, if you're just needing to learn about something in the Earth system science. And then, yeah, we are part of the National Center for Atmospheric Research. So a lot of the work that goes on in this organization is focused around like climate modeling and climate research and weather and things like that. So, yeah. Is that everybody, or has Lynn gone yet? Yeah, okay.
And there's Gina herself, right? Is Gina, everybody better know who you are, but let's make sure that
yes, and I was realizing I've logged in with the CLEAN Zoom this time, so it doesn't say my name, so it's good that I should introduce myself. I am Gina. I am the CLEAN program coordinator, and I manage these calls every week, and it's very good to see you all. Our office is also in Boulder, where Melissa is, but I actually work remotely from Vermont. So good seeing you all. And yes, Lynn is a facilitator today, but invited Tiffany and Charmaine to join us and give a little bit of an overview about their work with their work in Baltimore with youth and wind energy, and tell us a little bit about the program that they're working on. And I did get the PowerPoint that they sent me. Thank you.
You're
Yeah.
welcome. And so thank you, Gina. I really I always say how much I enjoy participating in the meetings when I can. I know sometimes I'm not here as often as I would like to be, but when I am here, I get such rich information and resources from all of you. One of the things that I know is that my focus for our organization, Baltimore Green Justice Workers Cooperative, is not necessarily on young people. We're focusing on their parents and their older siblings and their aunties and their uncles. But I find participating in these meetings very helpful for me because even for the adult GED classes that we're doing, some of the lessons are easily transferable for our adult learners, for them to even share with some of their children who are in school as well. So as we're doing our networking and building out as an organization, we're trying to connect with other organizations in Baltimore that's doing good work. And I had the opportunity to connect with Yes as part of a larger grant opportunity that a coalition of organizations are actually putting in forth via the EPA. And while talking to them, they shared with me that they just recently received funding from the Maryland Energy Administration to do some work around offshore wind education. And that's actually how our organization, Baltimore Green Justice Workers Cooperative, how we were able to launch our organization with funding from the Maryland Energy Administration. And then when I found out that they were working with young people, I said, oh man, James is going to be really excited to meet them because he's, and I feel so bad because he's always reaching out to me about opportunities for young people, but we don't really work with young people. So I said to myself, I got somebody for them. So I reached out to Charmaine and Tiffany, and I'm getting to getting to know them and learn more about their organization as well. And I just thought that this network would be a great resource to them. I even said to them, hey, I want you, even after you come and do your presentation, if your schedule permits, I want you to come and participate weekly, because I really do think that there's a lot of opportunities for partnership and connection. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Charmaine and Tiffany so you all could introduce yourselves and just share.
Thank you so much, Lynn. And let me just confess, I'm going to turn it over shortly to Tiffany, who is going to walk us through. This initiative wasn't our initial driving force. The driving force was to support you. Tiffany will share her background. She's an educator. And where we incorporated the environment support, it actually came from our youth and from our community stakeholders. So we have a devoted volunteer who actually went to elementary school at our building, who volunteered with creating a garden. And he said his focus was to make sure the community had fruits and vegetables and just access to the fresh produce and the importance of herbs. So it started off as a very small project. And then it grew with we had another engineer, she volunteered and said, okay, let's look at some sustainable, resilient options for this as a community center and how we can support your surrounding community. And we started exploring solar panels. Tiffany brought up EV stations, and then it just really grew. We started actually Tiffany was the force where she started researching, and we went to networking opportunities, and we saw it was such a wealth of information out there. And it didn't help that my daughter is an environmental studies student at North Carolina A&T. So she would come back, and she was interning with us for the summer. And it really deepened our engagement in this environmental space. So I'm gonna turn it over to Tiff.
Hello, everyone. I'm trying to get in the camera a little focused and everything, but as previously mentioned, I'm Tiffany Page Cooper. I have the privilege of working with Youth Educational Services as the Director of Communication and Strategic Partnerships. However, my background is I was a former educator with Baltimore City Public Schools for over 20 years. So to Mr. James, I'm very familiar with BARD. I actually grew up, BARD Baltimore, to be specific, actually grew up in the community where the school is located. So we did create a brief little PowerPoint. I don't know if you wanted us to share or if you all were able to.
I can share it. You have the ability to, you should be able to screen share if you prefer having the power, but I can do it too. It's right here.
And it's just a brief presentation and just give a little bit of background. And we have actual footage of some of the work. Well, I'm saying footage, but pictures of some of the projects that we've been able to do with the young people. As Charmaine stated, it has been a labor of love. We started out, you know, a sustainability hub, and it's just kind of grown into, you know, looking at career options and different ways that we can support and sustain the community that we have and make it better, of course. So we just say our groundbreaking initiative is aimed at revolutionizing K through 12 education through sustainable practices and energy efficiency. We were blessed to receive, as Ms. Lynn stated, a support grant from the Maryland Energy Association or Administration. So we are going to use that to create some more energy efficient resources in the center, and also to create some opportunities for our young people to get involved as well. So again, we say by integrating hands-on learning experiences with cutting-edge sustainable technologies, we're not just upgrading our facilities, but we're investing in the future of our community and of course our planning. And we can go to the next one.
And let me just interject here. Prior to receiving this grant, we applied for, we're part of the city's Sustainable and Resilience Hub within the community. And they invited us to apply for a FEMA grant for solar panels. We had no idea how much solar panels gave, so it was a shot in the dark. But when we started researching, it was enough to get us started for a portion of the solar panel for the engineer work and the installation. So now we started researching additional funding to support that initiative, and that's what's brought us to the Maryland Energy.
Yeah, and we would love to get more involved in the offshore wind. We actually took place in, I'm going to show my book really quickly. We actually, I don't know if you all can see it, but we actually took place in a Foundation to Blade course with Oceanic Network, which was very informative. We learned a lot and definitely are bringing that information back to the community as well.
I definitely want to see your book if you don't
Oh, I
mind.
know. I'm sorry.
No, Zoom is crazy. Hold it right next to and touch your face. It might put it in focus. Okay.
Tiffany and
Zoom is
Charmaine,
crazy.
you know what's funny? I'm here at that training now.
Are you? Wow, you're gonna.
I'll be here for the next 3 days.
Yes, give everyone my love. I had a wonderful time at that particular training. Wonderful time, and met some amazing people from Maryland Energy. And I definitely believe that, you know, they having those relationships and building that network has been you know, advantageous to us as we've applied for some of these grants. So Shai's trying to unblur the background now.
Okay. I'm gonna get it by the end.
Do I have it? It's still every time I put it up. Okay, we'll get it. We can move on to the next one too, if it's okay. Yep. So skill development and training opportunities, definitely hands-on experience. Who you see in that picture is the gentleman who Charmaine spoke of. He's a veteran. He is a former student here at the Langston Hughes. It was a former school, but it's now been converted to a community center. And he absolutely loves what he does. He's an agricultural genius, and he works with the young people on things like rainwater harvesting, you know, composting, everything sustainable and agricultural you can think of. Mr. Bryan is a part of it, so we definitely needed to feature him. Looking at some cutting edge technology, just exposing our young people to some of these things, real world problem solving, fostering critical thinking and innovation, and also looking at some professional certification preparation. We just had our community partner officer, Charles Lee, he just left, and he's doing CERT training with our young people this summer. So that's been remarkable as well. We can move on whenever you're ready. So the main thing is definitely job creation and economic impact for this particular community. And so one of the things we're looking at is what are some of the immediate job opportunities that can be available. Also, we have some of our young people coming in now. Hey, baby, you good? Just looking for the other guys. I think they're downstairs, sweetie. All right, baby. Yes. Also, you know, thinking about long-term career paths. We do have a amazing group of young people who are really interested in the environment. Like, how can I have a job in this particular field, in this industry? So one of the things that we were thinking of with the incoming solar panel project, and also even with I'm keeping my fingers crossed for the introduction of EV, electric vehicle stations, you know, getting our young people certified in these areas. There are certifications that can lead to sustainable jobs in these areas. And then, of course, we're hoping that it has an economic ripple effect, that, you know, it increases our local economy, it grows awareness and the demand for not only green products, but also services as well. So these are the things that we're pushing.
And can I interject 1 second? So unlike Lynn, who deals with the older adults, we enjoy dealing with the young ones. They're not necessarily tarnished by career paths or know exactly what they want to do. So they're open to exploring different opportunities with an open mind. So that's what we found when we put it in front of them. They're saying, oh, well, I kind of like that, as opposed to dealing with sometimes supporting the adult population. And you may be a little squeamish or like, I'm not sure. No, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
So.
And also to piggyback, we've partnered with the Park Heights Renaissance, and they have a whole clean green project that they're doing where they're employing individuals to do like community work and green jobs. So we have a feeder that we're feeding our young people to.
And it's entrepreneurship opportunities.
Definitely. We're ready for the next one as well. And so this was major. What you'll see featured in that particular picture, you'll see Charmaine with her beautiful daughter, Savannah, who was our intern. They look just alike. She was our intern for the summer. Again, an environmental genius. She absolutely loves the work that she does. And we also have our delegate. So it's been not only internal, but we also have external community benefactors who've been coming in and just, you know, getting in where they can. And so we had a gospel justice meeting, and with gospel justice, it deals with everything justice impacted. So we were looking at environmental justice, you know, and how can we ensure that we are doing our part as a community center to really, you know, meet our vision and mission to be a sustainable hub, a successful sustainable hub. So that was one of our initial meetings there. So we have our delegate and other community members at that particular meeting. So we're having community education programs. We're hopefully demonstrating cost saving methodologies. We've been a cooling station for the summertime. So we've had to come up with some creative ways to stay cool. We do definitely health and well-being focus. We partner with for our Future Foundation, which is led by Dr. Foyin, and she's, you know, come in and been shown interest in doing workshops and things of that nature. And we're creating student ambassadors, like I said, through our student, our CERT training program that we're doing now, in addition to the Youth Works students that have been coming through the door.
And we chuckle when we saying we're a cooling station because our AC went up this summer. And if you know anything about the East Coast, it's been a heat wave over here. So it's been about 100 degrees. So we've had to get some portable AC units and fans that are blowing. But what speaks volume, our adults complain, the youth show up every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And excited to work. I mean, they usually by the end of the day, they're dripping of sweat, but it really shows the commitment. And we just make sure everybody stays hydrated. We have unlimited water here.
Definitely, definitely. And we can move on to the next one. Again, long-term sustainability and mentorship. We definitely have established a mentorship program within our sustainability hub. We talked a little bit about that. Ongoing training and development. These are things that are crucial to the success of the sustainability hub. In addition to continuous community projects, you'll see we had I don't know what that one was. I think it was some type of gardening activity with the young people there, and also leadership development. We have various ages. So some of our older, we have collegiate students who are here this summer that we're preparing, you know, when you all come home for summer break, winter break and things of that nature, we're going to need you to step in. We've tried to develop out of school time programming, specifically geared towards our sustainability efforts. So all these things are works in progress. So, you know, keep us in prayer, but we've definitely started the ball rolling.
And just to speak to James' point of the demographics of who we're serving, it's about 90% African American, and we probably have about 8% Latino that are moving within the community. And it's one of those with the food insecurity, health risk, high crime, and high unemployment. So we have quite a few factors that we are opposed, that we're facing. And so this is not when we talk about all the initiatives, it's not just us that's working on initiatives. We consider ourselves a hub. We bring in other community partners. If your specialty is mental health support, then hey, for our families, we want you to show up in that space. So that has been has really been a blessing, because even though we focus on the youth, we're able to come to the whole family and provide support through our partners.
And with that, we can actually move into the next slide, which kind of speaks about our partnerships. And yes, so as Shah just stated, that's a picture of us. We actually attended the Maryland Department of Emergency Management Summit. And those are some of the leaders within MDEM. So we, definitely hobnobbing and, making friends and establishing partners wherever we can in this world of sustainability and energy efficiency, because we definitely see the need. And like I said, even our collaboration with the Oceanic Network, we actually met them at a meet and greet activity, and hence how we ended up in the class. And we definitely have met other partners as well through that. So definitely creating collaborative agreements, forging strong partnerships with leading companies, innovation challenges. We are challenging our partners. So we have a partnership with Singletary Weathers, who will be doing a lot of the work, a lot of this sustainability and energy efficiency work that we're getting done inside the building. So we're even challenging them to say, like, look, hire some of our students, work with our students, support them, show them how this work is actually done. And then again, we talked about partnering with industry recognized certification organizations. And so we talked about FEMA's certification that we're working with our young people on. So, and I think this last, oh no, we have two more, and then we're moving on, two more slides. So the next one kind of breaks into what it looks like academically. What does that translate to? So, one of our focuses is STEM. And so, we have science, of course, we're including mathematics, technology. Our young people are doing work in environmental policy research. We talked about that with Charmaine's daughter, and also our work as the Park Heights Gospel Justice Center. And also environmental journalism. We have students who, write poems and write all kinds of expressive writings regarding the work that they've been doing. So this is definitely making an academic impact as well. Anything you want to add there?
Oh, no,
Okay.
the special.
And last but not least, our last slide, and we love this last picture here. I love this one. And it's going to be it for us. We have one more slide, I think. And then, yeah. And this one, and it just looks like someone staring at a yellow wall, but it's actually a young man who's working in our media center. And we don't have, if you look on our website, the Langston Hughes CBRC.org, you'll kind of get an idea about before and after pictures But we do have a group of students right now who are doing work in our media center, converting it into a state-of-the-art, energy efficient media center. And so that's one of the young men just kind of looking at the work, standing back and looking at the work that he's done. And I thought that this picture was representative of measuring the success and also the future expansions that can occur with the work that we're doing. And so again, we're looking at quantitative metrics. We're definitely measuring, all of the work that we're doing and looking at the outcomes. We want to make sure we're providing concrete evidence of the success of the projects that we're working in. Also the qualitative assessments, the stories, the community members who are coming and speaking on the support that they've received and also the things that they've learned. We talked about the certifications that we are working on, solidifying these partners with these certifications, and also expansion. We're looking at the solar panel, the solar panels installation, also the EV vehicles, and also certification. So that just kind of gives us a little synopsis of the work that we're doing and where we're looking to go in the future. So I thank you all so much for allowing me to share, and thank you for listening.
And I definitely want to open it up to questions. I think, I was really excited to meet up with these two power queens because they are doing the work that we're talking about here and really wanting to make connections. And that's been my whole kind of goal for being part of the CLEAN a network and the literacy network. And so as much as I can be a connector to connect this group to other people in Baltimore who are working with young people who can utilize the resources and share ideas, I want to make that happen. So
And thank you for that, Lynn.
Yes,
Definitely. Thank you.
we definitely want to go ahead and open the floor for questions or even sharing, a little bit about what some of you all are doing with the young people in your neck of the woods would be helpful too.
I see James, we're going to connect. I see he,
Yeah,
he left the chat.
obviously I have things to say, but
I know. I was trying to keep up.
okay, but I would do this no matter how I was born, but I was
Yeah.
born a white man. I can't change that, and I know to shut up and let people talk first before I talk. It's just, I was brought up that way, okay?
Okay.
Not to call anyone out, but I'm sitting here thinking about all of the direct work that Carolyn has done with youth and this amazing citizens science project that she shared about, I think last year on one of our calls. And she does so much work directly with young people and has a ton of experience there too. Granted, it's in Florida, but I don't know, Carolyn, if you want to share about that at all, because it's amazing.
Thank you. I'm actually just did something that's kind of a similar vibe with some fifth graders who were really concerned about water quality in their garden. And we linked it to climate change, and they were studying monarch migrations, and that was really cool. So I just posted that article. Basically, we had students from all over Miami-Dade with these portable air quality monitors that were taking measurements, and went to their city and county commissioners and their school board talking about what they found. And I find that, yeah, when you're not to dismiss any particular way of doing activism, but I'm a big fan of bring the receipts. So they collect the data. I've taught at a community college for 5 years. Also, just giving credit to Melissa, I used a whole bunch of UCAR resources in my earth science classes, and they were fantastic. So credit there. But yeah, saying, things are this way versus showing the data. And I'll tell you, I've got students who are in their early to mid 20s that when I say the words data analysis, their eyes go big as saucers. When you can use their innate drive to say, this is my community and it needs to be better, and this is what I know, and then you bring the objective data to show it, that can be really powerful. And it's a really great way to promote some of that STEM learning as well as like civic engagement. So if you're interested in anything like that, like I said, I just did work with, you know, fifth graders, and I've done work with, you know, high schoolers, and I'll send you anything I've got. So I'll drop my email in the chat, but I'm always happy to talk about that. And there might be some sort of like sci starter thing happening around y'all that you could link up to as well.
Thank you, Carolyn. I think that's awesome. Carolyn also is in a sticky situation in Florida with the attack on just political freedoms, personal rights. And so she also has a um, a perspective that I think would be useful for our young people here in Baltimore, where we can be allies in support of their fight. And so I also want to make sure, Charmaine and Tiffany, that you follow up and just have a personal conversation with her about, you know, what's going on, because we had a CLEAN conference call, I remember, a while back, and you were actually sharing, and it was very passionate, and it really did hit me. And that is something that we have to figure out how to support.
Absolutely. You know, big fan of John Lewis. We'll make good trouble.
Yes. Now, I know that well, Melissa, I apologize to put you on the spot, but since Carolyn called out all of your cool resources, can you talk a little bit about what some of those resources are and how our folks here at Yes could take advantage of them?
Yeah, I'm looking for the link. I'll drop it in just a second here. I'm just going to give you the link right to our teaching resources. But then also, it's probably where most of the things you might like will be, but then just our general website is a little easier too. But yeah, so everything is broken up. If you go to that teaching resources page and you end up at our classroom activities, things are broken up by grade band or broken up by topic. And so you can find activities like lesson plans, you know, that have the instructions and student activity sheets for anything that you might want to do related to like weather or climate, or earth systems and things like that. But then there's also, if you keep looking, we also have, you know, like videos and images that you could use if you just need something to supplement, you know, a lesson you're doing. And then we have a couple full curriculums. So we do have a middle school weather curriculum. So it's for like 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, but I've had teachers in upper L use some of the activities, and I've even had teachers in community college use some of the activities. So I think it's applicable, you know, you can adjust and adapt to your students. So we have a couple of full curriculums. We have an environmental science curriculum that's all about coastal resilience that we designed in a project with Houma, Louisiana, so that, you know, they live on the Delta, and they had some unique, like little wetlands and the estuaries are there. So that unit, it was specific for them, but I think there's a lot of content that's applicable for anyone who's coastal, or you're wanting to teach your students about coastal resilience and the coastal challenges related to climate change, and just to, like, you know, land use changes and things like that over time. So yeah, so we have a lot of resources like that we designed as kind of are part of our catalog, and anything is free to use. You can download most everything you need from the website, but certainly if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me directly if you're looking for something, or you're not sure about how something is working, or, you know, a resource that you need. Like, I'm happy to help out. I'll put my email in the chat.
Thank you. And then Anne, you know, I have to put you on the spot, Anne, because we had the opportunity to interview you and Rachel probably about 1.5 years ago on our podcast that we do. I don't know if you remember, but I'm going to put the link in here so that Charmaine and Tiffany, so that you could get that. And I think I shared that with everyone on here, but if you all didn't get a chance to listen to that, the link is there. But Anne, I do want you to talk about the cool work that you're doing, you and Rachel are doing, and I'm hoping that there are opportunities for connection as well.
There you go. I had to unmute. Anyways, you think by now we know how to do that, but I always struggle with that. But anyway, yeah, so actually Rachel is there. That's why she's not on this thing. She is there teaching the climate ready week, a dual enrollment class for high school students in up at the Jupiter campus. We rented at the Jupiter campus. And so she's up there actually now doing that. And it's a whole week long of just, focusing on climate change and education for, we touch on things like, how to prepare for storm. They play games. There's one game that we created that was called Get Storm Ready, where it's kind of a game that you, to like, what kind of things do you need in order to prepare for a storm? And we have whole kinds of, we try to make it interesting and fun because it's long days, we work those kids to death. So, anyway, if you want any information on it, I'll put my email in the chat. And so if anybody wants to, get any information about it, you can email me. I'm happy to share. We're happy to share anything. Okay.
Awesome. And then Wendy, you're with the National Center for Science Education. Could you share? I believe you all have lots of classroom resources. I think I remember going to your website and checking it out. Could you talk a little bit about how YES might tap into those?
Yeah, so we develop classroom resources that are aligned to the next generation science standards, but also particular misconceptions. So sort of our focus is evolution and climate change. Why are these topics so difficult for the public to accept, right? And there are really well-documented cognitive misconceptions about these like big complicated topics, and also of course cultural and political and all kinds of like other things that get layered on why people don't accept evolution and climate change. So that's kind of our main focus. We make very I would say like broadly applicable resources, but we've been interested in helping teachers then really adapt them to their local context. So I mentioned at the beginning kind of one of our new revisions of one of our units is climate in your backyard, which we've always had this, kind of idea that people could kind of choose. That unit's all about like extreme weather, and you could kind of choose the examples that are most relevant in your area. But of course, that's really difficult for teachers if they don't know a lot about like how climate change is related to hurricanes or how climate change is related to things happening in their local area. So we've been really interested in building in like more of those kind of flexible ways that teachers can adapt it to the needs and interests of their students. So many of the things that you guys were talking about are really adapted to the needs of particular students, which is so important. And then like really hard to do when you're like the National Center, just trying to like give things to anyone, anywhere.
We have that problem with CLEAN where our audience is so wide, it's hard to actually narrow in on something because we're national, and our desire is just to have everyone everywhere use our resources. So I can definitely relate to that, Wendy. Like zeroing in on regional areas is just such a good thing if you can do it.
Yeah, I think it's so important for students to see, local impact of climate, and then also what they can do about it. And then also just really difficult if you're not in that particular area to like help the teacher do that. So I think that's a broader issue, even outside of climate education, just as like NGSS and storylines have kind of come about. There's a lot of, talk about how this approach that like mirrors science is so important, that students are actively involved in figuring things out. But how do we help give them a question that's relevant to them, right? And that they feel personally invested in when, maybe a curriculum designer somewhere far away is like making this. I always hear, this is not to throw this one under the bus, but, there's like a well-known and used storyline about the African savannah, right? And like, obviously like lions and tigers and stuff, they're all like really interesting and cool. But of course, kids are like, I'm never going to encounter those kind of animals. And that doesn't really explain like what I see outside with like robins and worms or something. So I think those issues, right, are not specific to climate education. Those are really like issues within, instructional design and things like that. But it's just like even more heightened with climate when we really want students to see how important this is and that they have some, they can contribute, but then, maybe we're telling them about worldwide patterns and, things that happened before they were born and like things that don't really seem to connect.
I totally agree, Wendy. And I think that the work that both the local and the national organizations are doing is so important because, of course, the local impacts them, their day to day, but they also need that exposure. So even though, they might never make it to the African, savannah, they still need to know it exists, and that there's something for them possibly to look forward to in the future. So I definitely like the idea of the local, but also giving them the national and the global impact, because that exposure is crucial for our young people. So thank you again for all the work that you all are doing, and thank you for sharing these resources with us.
Yeah.
Could I mention something and get your feedback on this? Is that all right? Want to see if, wherever we are educators, wherever we choose to be educators, we put our focus, we need to speak to the specific students, the specific communities we're dealing with to be effective, right? Different communities have different backgrounds. People have different backgrounds. And if we're off base or where we're not talking to the things that are on the minds of the students, we can have 4 years of courses and they're already tuned out that this has nothing to do with me. This is not addressing me. You're not about me. You're not bringing in things. You're not going to support me. We can't do anything, right?
Yeah.
And that's true of all kinds of kids. So a couple of things let me run by you on. When we describe what is going on at Bard High School in DC, and it would be so perfect that we can bring in Baltimore and then tie with them with you. And Lynn, please, you're not out of the picture unless you want to be out of the picture. There's a whole way in which adults are really essential in here, right? We have our different focuses and we need to keep our focuses. I'm not trying to get you to come over and do what we do and so on, but we need you too. Okay. When we describe what's going on at Bard High School in DC, it is the most advanced, most in-depth, most serious courses on climate change and careers in the country, full stop, as they say in Britain, right? We are so proud to work with others who are getting serious. We're working with others who do a full year. We want others to move up. We want to be an example of it. But I think that really shocks people. If we start out with that and then we go to the demographics, it's kind of speaking to, we've heard in you're the press these days of how disgusting it gets. It's always been disgusting, but how ridiculous it gets, that we may now have the next president of the United States being described as a DEI hire. Right? That's how serious it is. You can call someone with that background a DEI hire. How prominent it is, especially for African Americans, but generally for women and generally for people of color, that STEM, these fields are not for you. You're no good at it. And if you try, you're not going to succeed. And this is where a lot, the great majority of the high paying careers are. Yes, you can make a lot of money doing basketball. Yes, you can do that. But if you want where the majority of the decently high paying careers are, it's in STEM. And to say you can't be in there and all that kind of thing. We absolutely have to address that.
Yeah.
We have to address this with kids in general, young people in general, but especially with women and especially with people of color. Are we going to be making this something that is for you, is something that you can do? You have to have that support system. And that's a lot of what our courses address. And that is then we have that then I think we say the students are on board and they're interested in it. So more feedback. I want to make one more point, and then I will shut up again. I work with students not just in the African American communities, right? We also work taking DC in particular. There's whole California, which I've been doing for 25 years. But in DC, there's another school who has long been the leader on climate education, Lowell School. That's in Northwest DC, and it has that demographics.
Yeah.
It's more diverse, but largely upper middle class white, right? And it's a private school, and it reflects that. Where I'm getting at is that one thing that I think all of us know is that to bring students in and have them engaged and have them interested, you work on the idea that if they do this and they do this well, it can be good for their college applications, for their scholarships, for their social, I'm sorry, I know this word well, but it's not coming to my mind. The service learning credits, the hours, right? Okay. When I'm working more with the white kids, even maybe the Asian in California, the Asian kids or the kids from India, the background is from India and stuff. There's a real problem that they want to come and they work with us, but they're there to check the box, right? They know that there's other things that they have that they're going to get a scholarship to go, or their parents are going to pay for them to go to whatever college they have. They have the background, they're doing it, but they want that extra check that they do something great like climate change, right? It's kind of because it's the whole reverse of the DEI. They're the ones who have the privilege and can get into it, and they know that they can get into it, but they need this. The kids that we work, I should not say kids, these are high school students, and if you look at them, they're young adults. There's no doubt about it. These are young adults, right? They know that they're going to have to work their tails off. They're going to have to really learn and do things, and that's what they're doing. They are deeply committed. They are the opposite of anything you want to see of DEI hire. They're just there taking it easy. No, these young people are really working hard. So the best is, I don't even, I made this. We are the best school in the country, and it's a school that's 92% African American, 7% Latino. That just turns all that garbage right on its head, and we have to do that anyway.
Yeah. I love it.
Yes, thank you for the work that you all are doing. And it needs to be the norm, James. As I'm hearing you talking, like this needs to be the norm, not just isolated, cases. Like we have to get all of our babies on board. Because it sounds cliche, but it is literally our future. So we have to.
Yeah, it is this, but can I try this out on you to see if you're comfortable with this, or at least that you know about what Bard High School in DC is doing, what Mobile Climate Sciences Lab is doing. We recognize, and we're at the CLEAN Network, and that's the CLEAN Network, NOAA, tend to have the point of view of we need to make, and I'm sorry, this is the way I kind of look at it, climate education ordinary. Climate education should be taught in all the schools. It should be just normal. It should
Definitely.
Yes.
Okay? And that's a lot of the focus, and we support that. And I think Gina can support that. Mobile Climate Science Labs has been there, part of that mission in making that happen. But we do something different than that. It's not contrary, it's different than that. And that's often a discussion I have to have with Frank Leopold and people about, I want you to feel comfortable that we're doing something that's a little different, maybe a lot different than what you're doing. We are looking to make sure that climate education is also extraordinary.
Wow.
Incredible, that it's hands-on, that it goes way beyond, that we're teaching all year round, not 2 hours, 4 hours. This is, we're going to do careers. We're not just going to give them a little dabble and there they go.
Right.
So that's a lot what we do. And I work with, when I choose what school or educator I want to work with, we'll talk with those that do the little stuff. We reach more people hands-on in person than any other organization in the country, except the oil companies. The oil companies beat all of us so far. That's a whole other discussion. But we want to work with those that also are looking to have it be for their young people to be extraordinary. So I want you to know that that's something that we're doing. I think you meet that qualification. I mean,
thank
also that you got Lynn's recommendation, that just like, I'm gonna assume that's the case.
That's it.
And then you
That's
then you prove, nah, you're just the ordinary,
Nah, not
just
an
in it for a
ordinary
couple
hand.
weeks and then you're gone.
No, no.
Thank you so much, everybody. We only have like 1 minute, but Charmaine and Tiffany, did you want to close us out with any closing comments or?
We're so excited. This is not our background. I'm a CPA by trade, an accountant. So this is so far extreme. However, James, just to reiterate what you said, the young people brought me into this world and I'm grateful. I mean, I'm learning from them. So I think I can speak for Tiff. Both of us are anxious to learn more in this space and really make it into that extraordinary space. So thank you.
Definitely.
And
And a
thank
big,
you, Lynn,
That's
for
it.
inviting
Thank you,
us.
Lynn.
it is.
Thank
Also,
you.
let's make sure we are thanking CLEAN and Gina in particular, because this
Definitely.
is one of the most important networks in the country,
Yes.
pulling this
Wonderful.
together. So
Wonderful.
just I want to make it clear how
Yes.
much we are still part of the CLEAN network. We're just
Wonderful.
doing something kind of specific.
I love it.
Yes.
And everyone here, I mean, NCSE and
Yes.
UCAR are these are among the extraordinary education programs in the
Yes.
country.
And
NCSE
It's
and
true.
UCAR and CLEAN, they're absolutely as leaders and have been, I think as long as I have. I mean, certainly UCAR. I've been doing this for 25 years. So the fact that UCAR and NCAR, you guys go back 40 years or something,
Yeah.
right? But I mean, really serious work.
And Tiffany and Charmaine, I really do want you to follow up with Gina as well, because there are a slew of resources online for CLEAN, and she could just kind of navigate you all through those connections.
Yeah, definitely. Let's schedule a follow-up or something like that and we can chat more.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks so much, Lynn.
Everyone.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.